My name's Nicole Bush. As people are coming in, my name is Nicole Bush. I'm Senior Director of Alumni Career and Professional Development here with the Office of Alumni Relations, and I'm really excited to have you join me today for this discussion. Also with us is Sarah McAllister. She's going to be on the back end and helping out with the chat and any tech problems that you have. So if you can't hear or something like that, feel free to message her directly, or you can put it in the chat. And she'll be sharing some information with us as we go along as well. So thanks again for coming, and we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay, like I said, I'm with the Office of Alumni Relations. I've worked here at Tulane for 19 years now. Just in October, I reached 19 years. I started with a career management center at the Freeman School of Business. So I was there for the first half of my career at Tulane, and then I've been here in alumni relations with, we first were alumni career services, and then we've evolved into career and professional development just in the last couple of years. I'm a native New Orleanian and a Tulane alumna. And just a fun fact about me is that my parents met here on campus when my dad was a student and my mom was on staff. So 3 of their 4 kids, of course, came here. So legacy family. And I'm happy to be here and happy to help you. And yeah, I see people are putting where they're from in the chat. Please let us know where you're joining in from. We really appreciate it. And anything else you want to share about your time at Tulane? All right, so what I'm going to share with you today is a simple 3-step program for keeping your job search alive during the holidays, because it can be tough. We're going to start with a reality check. So if that face right there is you, I understand you and hear you. If you've been on the job search for a while, you're probably getting tired of it and you're like, nothing happens in December anyway. I'm just going to stop. I'm just going to take a break. I'm not going to do anything until after the first of the year. And I'm going to encourage you not to do that and ask you to, open your mind to doing something different, because I understand it is it's a frustrating process to be in a job search, and it can get a little more frustrating sometimes during the holidays, especially if you kind of continue doing the same things you've been doing. So we're going to do that reality check. So I understand that some of you may be feeling skeptical about the possibility of even keeping your job search alive. And the truth is the job market may look a little different. You may see more of those temporary or seasonal assignments being posted, certainly more retail during this time of year. You also may receive some slower responses from people, which is expected because we know that people are getting a little distracted. They're taking some time off. They're, doing some other things. So it's even, you're frustrated now sometimes because you don't hear back from employers. And in fact, it may get a little more frustrating. So we need to be prepared for that. And like I said, you're just tired of looking and you're like, I want to take a break. Nothing's going to happen anyway. But the fact is, employers are still hiring. And I will use our office as an example. Here in the Office of Alumni Relations, we're hiring for a position in our department. We're hiring in, another area of our office is hiring right now. We are actively looking at applications, calling people, and we'll continue to do that through the month of December. And that's just one example, of course, close to home, but there are many employers hiring. And in case you don't believe me, I'm going to give you some data, share some data with you. Because I wanted to look this up because I know data speaks volumes. So if we look at jobs just from September of this year, you can see we had almost 11,000 open job postings in the United States. They are not all going to go away, now, or since they have not all been filled, I'm sure, since September. And in 2021, if we look at these numbers here, this is all from the department, the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So these are the official numbers. So in 2021, last year, if we look at October, November, and December, the number of postings actually went up in December. And I would say that the same is expected for this year. I mean, that's something that happens. And like I said, sometimes it is those temporary or seasonal positions, but that's not all there is, because companies are still hiring people. There are a lot of people who leave their jobs because it's the end of the year, or a lot of people retire, it's the end of the year. So then the company has a position to fill. So there are a lot of different scenarios taking place within organizations that would lead them to want to look for someone now. So just want to put these numbers out there to prove to you that there is still hiring going on and job postings available. All right, so As we go through this, like I said, I'm going to give you a 3-step process, and we're going to start with reviewing your strategy. And I've shared this image with you because this is my all-time favorite image of the job market, is this iceberg image. If you are spending, and like I said, just keep an open mind to some of these ideas, because I know, that some of it is different and people kind of get in a comfort zone of looking for a job and they kind of do the same thing. But I'm going to share some other ideas. So if you're looking at the job market right now, this is the job market. And if you are only applying to things that are posted online or wherever else you might be looking, that is the tip of the job market, the online market. Or if you're looking anything in writing, I don't know that anyone in writing anymore. All of this below is what we've called the hidden job market. It are job opportunities. These are job opportunities that are available that might not be out there yet, because companies would much prefer to hire someone they know or that they've met, or that someone that works there knows or has met, than to have to go through a large job search, by posting it on Indeed or something like that. So if they can get a referral, or they can meet you in person outside of this job posting world, that's going to be a better opportunity for you. But you have to be proactive in order to find these opportunities. So as you review your strategy, so that's what we're going to be talking about. These 3 steps is kind of tapping into this hidden job market. You can still do your job postings as you've been doing, but it's time to kind of dive in there and look at what is in the hidden job market and how you can access it. So review your strategy and asking yourself the following questions. First, has your approach been producing the kind of results you're seeking? So what has been happening? Are you applying for jobs but not getting interviews, or do you get interviews but then you don't get offers? Where's the breakdown? What's happening there? And what have you been, what kind of results, or maybe you're not even getting interviews. So think about what you've been doing now and be honest with yourself about what's working and what's not working in what you're doing right now. You also want to think about feedback you've received from employers about your applications and interviews. Now, this can be feedback that you asked for specifically. Maybe you were turned down for a job and you asked them for feedback, which is totally okay to do. By the way, if you haven't been doing that, I recommend that you do, because they can give you some really valuable information. They might they're not always willing to share a lot of information, but sometimes they can say, well, we were really looking for somebody with a little more education here or experience in this area or something like that. But it can give you a better idea about why you weren't chosen, because that can be really frustrating to understand. I talk to people all the time, like, I don't know why they wouldn't hire me for this. It seems like I'm perfect for it. So you can get an answer to that question, number one, but it's also a learning opportunity, because maybe you're saying something or doing something in your interviews that you don't know that is coming across negatively, or is that hurting you. And you can also, this is also, even if you haven't asked specifically for it, think about the feedback just in how they've reacted to you through the interview process or through conversations that you've had with them, wherever you were talking with them, an employer or recruiter. What kind of feedback, what kind of body language or reactions did they have to what you were saying and how you were saying it? Take that as feedback as well. Sometimes we have the tendency to get upset or disappointed or frustrated, and they didn't want me for this, they're lost, they're idiots, whatever. So you get frustrated with people, but let's think of it as a learning opportunity instead. Something went wrong, it wasn't the right fit. You're going to find something that's the right fit. So think about that feedback that you received, formal and informal. Which actions make you feel the most productive? And this is something this is more on the wellness side. You can think about what actions feel productive when you're actively looking for the search, but also think about how you're spending your time during your job search. It's a long day, and maybe you feel productive just by sending out, 5 resumes in the first hour of your day. You're like, I'm done, sent out resumes. But what are you doing with the rest of the day? And is it keeping you positive and healthy and well? Because it can be very frustrating, and people can become negative, even though they don't mean to be negative. Because they are frustrated, they're tired of doing it. Sometimes when you have been interviewing a lot, you go in and sometimes it sounds like you've been interviewing a lot because you've lost the excitement. You're like, here's another interview, great, and you try to hide it, but people who've been recruiting for a long time can usually tell. They can see through that. So you need to be feeding your soul too. You need to be making sure that you are doing things that make you happy, doing things that will keep you motivated and positive as you're going through your search. And productive. It's good to feel productive in any part of your life, and it will help you to have a better job search outcome. And then you have to ask, this is a harder one, what is within your power to change? So there's a lot that is unfortunately not within your power in a job search. You know, sometimes companies hire positions, but they're doing it as a formality because they already know they're already going to hire someone from within for that position. Or sometimes a position is posted and then the company decides they're not going to fill it and it gets pulled or it doesn't get pulled. So there are a lot of things that happen that you have no control over. So think about what is within your power, and that's within the job search. So, you know, that's things like your preparation, your research, you know, how you present yourself, how you interview, how you interact with people, how you follow up with people, all those types of things. But you're also, you know, we're going to go back to this wellness thing for a moment and think about what's in your power to change there, because there, you know, you can only apply to so many positions in a day. What else can you do during your time, your 9 to 5 time, let's call it, that you can change if you need to feel more productive, to feel better, to be more positive. And if you're feeling in a rut, to get you out of that rut. It can be exercising, taking a bike ride, gardening, volunteering. There's a lot of different things that you can do. It all plays into how your performance during your job search. And so if you haven't been doing that, now is the time to take advantage of it. Take advantage of maybe a longer response time from employers to fill that time with things that fill you up with energy and excitement and positive feelings. I'll pause for a second. Does anyone have any questions or thoughts about that? Okay, because we're just thinking about what you've been doing. Take a look at it. Think about what you need to change, not just in how you're applying for jobs, but everything you're doing right now while you're in a job search mode. All right, step 2, got to say it. You have to review your online presence, because it is important, because people are Googling you. Every time you apply for positions, you know this, you Google people all the time. So what will a recruiter find when they Google you? You still need to check in. You need to check in periodically with that. And their LinkedIn profile up to date. Now, this is where I have a couple of things on here about, you know, if you're in a job search mode, you should just log into LinkedIn every day and check, you know, it's a good place to check news for the day. It's a good place to see what's happening with employers for job postings, that sort of thing, movement, like who's moving where, people get promotions, that sort of thing. And it's a great opportunity for you. And I'll say, especially for you introverts out there who prefer to connect with people through online sources instead of in person. Because you can do that very easily on LinkedIn. You know, someone gets a promotion, it takes 2 seconds to say, congratulations, hope you do great in the new job. Glad to hear it. You know, glad to hear of your promotion. Or someone might post an article about something happening in your industry, and you can just say, thanks for sharing this. This was really interesting. I love, you know, good timing on this, or, you know, good read, something like that. It doesn't have to be a whole book. It doesn't have to be long, but it just connects you with that person for just a moment, you know, as they see who's responding to what they've posted, and they can say, oh, Nicole Bush, gee, I haven't heard from her in a long time. Wonder what she's doing, you know, or just puts your name back on their radar. Sometimes it's that simple. So it's a good way to stay connected to people. And it also might give them an idea about what you're doing. Also, while you're there, I would encourage you to check out other alumni profiles. So just to one little word about LinkedIn, it's not just for finding alumni or job postings, but it's also a great way for you to look at how other people are presenting themselves and think about maybe getting some ideas from that. You know, so how are they representing what they're doing? And does any of that apply to you, or would that be an enhancement to what your profile looks like on LinkedIn? So it's a huge database, a lot of information on there that you can use to help improve your own profile, or change something about your profile. Or maybe you have a certification that you forgot to list, or you've earned a certification in the recent few months, but you haven't added it on there yet. So think about a lot of those things, because you want to make sure that you get it all out there, and LinkedIn is the best place to put it. Excuse me. course, I have to talk about Tulane Connect. So we want to make sure you take advantage of Tulane Connect as well. That is the Tulane specific website with over 20,000 Tulaneans on there. I would say 90% of them are alums. We also have some parents and students on there, could be more than 90%, but about 90. And that is also where, so a few things you can find on Tulane Connect. That is where any positions for experienced hires are posted by our office. Alums also post positions for other offices. So, I mean, for positions within their organizations. So you can check job postings, but it's also what is your presence on Tulane Connect? What does it look like? Are you connecting with people? Have you joined any of the communities that are on there? Are you interacting with anyone on Tulane Connect? So check your profile there too. If you've linked it to LinkedIn, that makes it really easy because you can just hit the update button. But if not, then you can just go in and make sure that you have everything that you want to have on there. Maybe you want to add some things like groups you were in or organizations you were a part of. So take advantage of Tulane Connect. It's there for you. Everyone on there has raised their hand to say that they want to help. And when you look at their profile, you can see how they want to help. So you want to make sure that your presence on that site is up to date and correct and representing you in the best way. Step 3, excuse me, strategizing how you want to spend your time. So we talked about, reviewing what you've been doing. What can you be different? What can you do differently? How can you access this hidden job market we talked about earlier? We give you a few ideas now to think about that if you haven't been doing them, this is something you might want to add to your daily routine, or something that, like updating your resume as we have on there is something you don't need to do every day, obviously, but you do need to do it periodically. So that's why we have that on there first. Another thing you can think about is reconnecting with your network. Now, we talked about how you can do that online. It's also a great time of year to do it in person. You can send holiday greetings to people that you haven't connected with in a while, just to say hello, just to start a conversation with people. You can also schedule one-on-one coffees or lunches with people. So I know sometimes I hear you. I'm unemployed and I can't afford to go have a bunch of lunches with people. I get that. You don't have to do that. Find a good coffee place with like a $2 cup of coffee or something like that. It doesn't have to be major. It can be simple. And if that doesn't work, then maybe, if it's someone you've known for a while, do you want to just go for a walk or along the lake or bike ride? I don't know, whatever you might have done with that person. But it's usually easy to just say, hey, do you want to get a cup of coffee? Just like to see what you're doing, what you're up to. So it's real casual, and it can just be an opening to a conversation that you might not expect otherwise. Because, you want to find out genuine interest in what they're doing and who they know and what's happening with them. And maybe they're in a position to connect you with someone or with a company that has opportunities. Maybe they're not, but maybe someone they know it. So you never know where those will lead. And people are in a generous mood. And as we said earlier, people are kind of slowing down. They're getting together for lunches or parties or whatnot. So they're in a better mood, and they're in a kind of a generous mood. We're in a happy mood. It's the holidays. I want to help people. I want to talk to people. Hey, let's catch up. So it's a great time of year to take it, to do that, to take advantage of this season in that way. Another thing you can think about doing is offer freelance services. A lot of people do need help during this time. So you might be able to do that through any of the communities that you belong to, offer some freelance services. It's also a good way to keep your skills up to date. You can volunteer with organizations of interest. Volunteering I always encourage people who are job seeking to do some volunteer work, because you'll get something back from it. You're giving to the community, but you're also getting something back. You're feeling productive, and you can make connections because, like if you use the SPCA for instance, or animal rescue organizations, there are people from all over industries who are interested, who love pets and love dogs and cats and want to help them get adopted. So you never know who you're going to meet at something like that, but you're starting with a common interest. And so that's where the volunteer work comes in. You're starting in with a common interest, and then you get to know people and find out what they're doing, what they're into, and you never know where that's going to go. And we have data on that too. So I'll give you a stat of 27%. Volunteers have a 27% higher likelihood of finding a job after being out of work than non-volunteers. So it is a pathway to employment. And they publish a report on that. So I just wanted to share that stat with you too. If you haven't thought of it yet, anything that you're interested in and any time that you have to devote to them, they'll be very appreciative. There are a lot of people looking for extra help right now, and it's a good way for you to meet new people. And let's see, trying to move on here. I think it's frozen. I'm going to just go on with one of my next bullet points. It's not coming up, but maybe it'll change. But think about taking a seasonal position, because if it's not, it's not long term. Maybe this is a temporary situation. Like I said, I know a lot of you need the money. You need to do something. You can't just take the week off, the month off anyway. So take advantage of some of those seasonal opportunities. It'll only be a few weeks, maybe 6 weeks or something. And you never know what could come of those either. And they could be, and I'm not just talking about retail or like delivery services. There are also a lot of companies that need to hire temps during this time because people are taking time off and traveling. So they need temps in their offices. And so it's a good time to do that kind of work as well. And you never know who you're going to meet through there. I've heard some wonderful stories. People started as a temp. I have a friend who started as a temp with Covenant House in Washington, D.C., and made so many connections and stayed with those people that she became chief of staff for the mayor of D.C. eventually. I mean, that took a few years, but the point is anything, you don't know where it's going to lead. So that's not limited to retail and the obvious seasonal work. It's also some increase in temp work, whether it's office work or it could be event staffing or something like that. So there are a variety of options there, and you can always connect with a temp agency. There are a few of those, in your area. Some are national, but look for those and talk with people to find out who's been active in that area. And one note about this, with the networking is that before you and going to parties, one of the other things that would be on my slide if it was cooperating with me is to not be afraid to go to parties, because some people are like, I'm not in a great place right now. I don't have a job. Things aren't going great. I'm still looking, what am I even going to talk about when I see everybody? Because, hey, what's going on? What's up to you? What's going on with you? I would encourage you to think about still going to those things, but just prepare a little in advance to answer that question. What's new? What are you doing? What are you looking for? So you don't feel defensive or off guard when someone asks you that. Prepare. That's why you would want to prepare in advance. And you can say, I'm changing positions right now. I'm looking for something new. I'm looking for my next great opportunity, or I'm really looking for a new opportunity with whatever industry. You can be more specific. So think about what you're going to say beforehand and be positive about it. And then, oh, okay, well, what are you thinking about doing? What are you interested in? What do you want to do next? Maybe it's just, I'm taking a career pivot right now. We have a lot of people who've been doing that, taking time off, thinking about changing career paths. So I'm exploring a few options right now. Maybe that's where you are. That's okay to say. There are a lot of people doing that right now, but the way to make sure that conversation doesn't get awkward is to stay positive. Because if you're like, well, I'm looking for a job, it's not really going well, and you just kind of go down that negative spiral and be like, okay, well, hope that improves for you. See you later. And that's the end of your conversation anyway. That's not going to go very far. But if you can go and say, yeah, I'm taking this a pivot, or I'm making a change, or I'm looking for the next, a good opportunity to grow with someone, looking for the right fit in the tech industry or whatever it is, that can open up a conversation. Oh, what kind of work are you looking for? Oh, I know someone so-and-so who works for a company. Maybe I can put you in touch with them. So it's about what that person might know, but also everyone they know. They can think about that. So it broadens your options a lot more. And you don't know what's going to come of it. So think of a positive way that you feel comfortable talking about where you are now. And it will also just help you to feel better about it, because if you keep going around saying how it's not working and it's negative, especially if you're at holiday parties, that's not going to go well for you, and you're just going to feel worse after you leave. So think about changing that dynamic a little bit by hitting it off at the beginning. There we go. And that's the other one we have on there, research your industry and location of preference. And if you are one of those people who is going through a pivot, a career pivot, this is also a good time to just make sure you pause and check on what's happening in the industry, in the location, what's happening, is anyone new moving there? If you haven't been doing a lot of that, now's a good time to do that. So that's another way that you can spend your time right now. So before we move into the question slide, I just want to summarize what we've talked about and see if you have any questions. So in the 3 steps, I want you to review what you've been doing, think about your strategy, what's working, what's not working, what have you learned so far in the job search process, in your job search, that can be helpful to you in thinking about what you want to change, whether that's on your resume, your online presence, practicing interview questions, whatever it is. Think about using that feedback and using your experiences to improve and adapt your approach. And then you want to update with that knowledge, update your online presence, update your resume, make sure that everything that you have out there is up to date and on point. While you're doing that, you're also going to be reaching out to people, like we said, online, through cards, through parties. You'll be armed with this new information that you find when you go to look to research online, whether it's LinkedIn, whether you're looking at what other people are doing, researching industry and location preferences, so you can have conversations that are more meaningful conversations with people. I'm really looking for someone with something with XYZ, and I'm looking for room for growth, or a company that really values and invests in their employees. Whatever it is that you want to, how you want to say it, but you have that information on hand so that when people ask you about it, whether they're an actual employer or not, whether their company is looking for someone or not, you can have that conversation, and you never know where it's going to lead, because that will take you back to that hidden job market, because those are the things that aren't posted. So it's making those connections so that you can get a part of that hidden job market. Oh, I just met Sarah at this woman, Sarah, the other night at the holiday party, and she's looking for something. She seemed great. I should get you in touch with her. That's what we can be looking for there. That's what our goal is. So that's what we have in our 3 steps. I'm going to move it to any questions. What can I answer for you? Or if you have questions about our resources, I can help you with that as well. Or just thoughts, experiences you want to share.
Nicole, can you talk about the experience of someone who maybe has gotten the feedback that we're interested in you, but we're not hiring right now? So kind of like the companies that are definitely not able to hire between now and the end of the year, but might be in the beginning of the year. What advice would you give to them?
Sure. Stay in touch with that person in a reasonable way. You don't have to call them every week, but every day, but maybe you do touch base with them every week just to make sure you know what's going on. Make sure that, we talked about LinkedIn, stay in touch with what's happening. If any changes happen with their company on LinkedIn, you can still respond to that, follow their company on LinkedIn, see if they have anything, respond to it. It could be a simple response like we talked about. And also think about, they're interested in you. Maybe ask them if they had any concerns, or is there any area where they would like you to have more information, and then you can go and pursue that. Is there anything, or if there's an area that you talked about that you recognized would be a learning opportunity for you on the job, why not get started now? Because then the next conversation you can have with them, you say, I know you're using, I don't know, cloud technology. And so I've really been playing around with the cloud. I've learned a lot more about it. I've been doing some more work in there, so that I can be better prepared to be productive the first day of the job. So think about how you can always be making yourself, always continuous learning, always improving your own skills and abilities. Any other questions?
Well, this is Steve. I just wanted to throw something out there about networking.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in Denver, and there's some networking groups on that Meetup app for things like Agile, Kanban, software development, different industry niches, So I join those groups on Meetup. I honestly rarely go to the events, but especially with COVID, but coming out of COVID, and I'm probably kicking off a job search soon. I'm thinking about just checking out their schedules and seeing if they have any meetups. And it's usually pretty casual, like they might have a topic of discussion and meet at a coffee shop or something. And usually there's not many people, maybe there's like less than 10 people there, but it's still an opportunity to just get the network out there a little bit bigger, and you just never know. It's kind of casting a wider net. So I just want to throw that out there as a suggestion.
Thanks. That's perfect. And we've seen a lot more activity with those in the New Orleans area as well. A lot more groups having meetups like that are kind of casual, but it's still a good idea to have as you go to those, still a good idea to have a business card, and maybe, you can just put, the kind of work you're looking for, marketing and event sales manager, sales expert, or something like that. You don't have to have, doesn't have to be, your company. Don't think of it as a company card. Think of it as your personal card, and how, a little leave behind to tell people about you that really just contains your contact information, so that you can follow up with other people and easily give them your information. Some people will take a picture of it, or, there's some other ways to do it, but even in the ones I've been going to in the last month, a card still goes a long way. So if you don't have one, I would recommend you make one of these, something like this, for when you're attending those networking events, to exchange information easier. But thanks for sharing that. That's great. Any other ideas or ways that you all have been networking, or thoughts about networking? I know it can be really intimidating, and it pushes people outside their comfort zone sometimes, but if you can get past that hump, you might find something great. Okay, well, if you think of anything, anything that you want to talk about, or if you need help with your search individually, feel free to call or contact me. There's my email address. We have a number of resources available online. We also have some offline resources that could be helpful to you in your search. So just touch base with me, let me know what you're looking for, where you are, and we'll see what resources we have that can be most useful to you at this point. Thank you all so much. Sarah, would you mind putting this will be recorded, or this has been recorded. So we will post it on YouTube. We'll post this on YouTube later today. And if you wouldn't mind, there you go. There's our YouTube channel. So you can see this and many of the other, all of the other professional development series webinars we've had in the last 2 years. So thank you so much. I wish you well. I hope you enjoy the holidays, and hang in there. Don't stop. You can keep going. Just change it up a little bit. Thanks so much, and have a great day.